no way to send anything.
What?
There's no way to send anything.
No. I mean, yes and no. But I could like, I can communicate my camera and my phone for sure, and then get some data, and then rather than
What is your like your unedited pictures are going to be better than back edited?
right. So,
I just wonder if one sort of why something the word student speaking. That's the first student speaking, just to sort of say.
I'll try. Okay. If I can make it happen, send it to your email?
Yeah. Thanks. I should have thought about that long ago.
Like we need to, like, I'll send it to you. We need to make sure that the format, because I don't make the full as well. No JPEG, no.
Okay.
So we need to see the format. Like a normal.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Drew Anderson, and I am the Student Success Manager of One World Education. And I would like to welcome you all to the One World Education 2021 G8 Challenge. Give it up for our students. Now, you may recognize the term G8 from the Group of Eight, which was a political forum of 8 nations devoted to addressing global issues such as world hunger, security, medicine, and poverty. And I can honestly say, as I stand before you today, that these students have boldly chosen to address issues of no less import than those, and that these students have no less stature than that of such esteemed nations. For us, yeah, go for it. You clap for me. But more so, you can clap for our G8. Now see, for us, G8 stands for grade 8. It's a crucial time in the growth and development of our future leaders. It's a time when these artists, formerly known as children, move into young adulthood and begin making decisions about what they will stand for and what they will not fall for. For, As was so memorably written in 1 Corinthians, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man or woman, I put away childish things. Now, since September, these students have met with us on Tuesdays at Planet Word, our elegant partner on 13th and K Streets, and on Thursdays right here at the beautifully remodeled Martin Luther King Jr. Library. Our One World Teacher Leader team has guided these brilliant students through the crafting of their passionate ideas about social justice issues into strong essays, which we then in turn help them refine into the poignant, powerful speeches which you are about to hear tonight. Now, we do want to ask that anyone who has cell phones who may make, little noises and things of that nature, we definitely want those muted so that we can hear from our students and that they may not be disrupted or distracted. Also, we want to make sure that we are all maintaining our mask on and taking care of COVID safety. You will see our students competing maskless if they choose, but that's because we took certain precautions toward this evening. Now, the categories for our competition are social justice essay and social justice speech, and those will be scored in separate competitions. Now, you'll see the student writing in the book that you were given as you entered the auditorium and the speeches you will experience live here tonight. Now, the majority of our students are here in person for us to be blessed by their skill, their talent, and their passion, their voice, knowledge, and purpose. We do have a few of our students who could not make it, but we wanted their work to be acknowledged and their speeches to still be heard. So you will see those in video form, and our judges will be scoring those just the same as our in-person students. Now, the format for our presentations. Our judges will be looking for a hook which effectively establishes why the topic is important using a sophisticated rhetorical technique. They'll be looking into the argument itself for a clear and convincing claim and a reasonable counterclaim that effectively argues a position about an issue and proposes an actionable solution. They'll be looking for evidence from reputable sources, fluid, organized structure with fluid transitions, and effective, enthusiastic presence with appropriate volume and an easy-to-follow pace. So, no pressure. Now, with all that said, I want to introduce to you our judges who are going to be doing the work of evaluating our students' speeches. So, and thank you for your patience. I just want to make sure that I get everyone's names correct. From FTI Consulting Incorporated, the Managing Director and One World Board Treasurer, Dave Paris. From the Jack Kent Cook Foundation, Gina Osorio Wallace. From Truist, Jimmy Jones. From EV Financial, Melissa Riechtenwalt. From the University of North Carolina and Trilogy Education, Maggie Crawford. From the Annenberg Institute at Brown University, National Student Support Accelerator, Nancy Waymack. From Planet Word Museum of Language Arts, Rebecca Roberts. And from the Weisberg Foundation, Rickshawn Adkins Roan. Now, we want to thank the entire One World community for coming out and supporting our students on the night when they show us their excellence. And before we get into the competition, we wanted to show you a brief video about what One World does. So if we're ready. One World Education. One World Education leads the largest writing program in Washington, D.C. schools with a mission to turn students into writers with voice, knowledge, and purpose.
Whenever I would have arguments with people, I would literally scream at them. After One World, I was able to sit and think about it and then come up with an actual argument.
It's almost like not screaming over the person.
Yes.
Listen to what they have to say and state your facts and reason after.
Through this process, doing the research and even talking on stage, I realized that with my voice, I can like bring awareness to issues that happen around me or in my community or in America. It's issues that happen all around the world.
With proven results, our programs teach students to research and write about issues that matter to them.
It really boosted my knowledge about these topics, as well as gave me an idea as to what people's perspectives are on these problems that are faced in our communities.
Our in-school program serves approximately 5,000 students annually through our training of ELA, humanities, social studies, and other subject area teachers. Our after-school program, One World Academy, prepares our high-potential middle and high school students for their most important academic transitions.
I learned how to like structure my writing and kind of like break it down.
I also learned how to cite evidence from like different sources and back up my claims.
For teachers, our programs deliver a detailed and flexible curriculum, online instructional slide decks and videos, respectful teacher training, and an evaluation that shows how thorough focus on instruction produces results.
Me, having seen their writing last year when they were in 7th grade, and now as 8th graders, I've seen the improvement.
For students, our programs break down every part of the research, writing, and presentation process.
I got my point across and I like had emotion, which I had trouble with before. So I just like rewrote my entire hook and I was just like, okay, this has emotion. I'm gonna convey this to the audience. I'm gonna make sure they understand what I'm saying.
What's the final outcome? Students improve their skills, develop new content knowledge, gain confidence in their writing, and most importantly, find and leverage their voices.
I learned that my opinion matters and that I can have like an impact on people.
And now, we would like to present our first student.
Evening. While I was doing some independent research, I found out that the worldwide population is 7.7 billion and the internet has 4.4 billion users. Wow. And this number is growing daily. One of the mind-blowing facts about social media is that every 6.4 seconds, a new account has been created. People spend over 2 hours on social media. These users include children. Surveys by the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry show that 90% of teens 13 to 19 have used social media. My name is Felicia Gundimu. I am in 8th grade and currently attending Howard University PCS, and this is my claim. We as teenagers should all work collaboratively to change the way social media impacts our peers and ourselves negatively by taking responsibilities for our actions online. According to King University Online, studies have shown that the amount of time spent on social media is associated with negative emotions. As teens quickly approach adulthood, we should become vigilant about our connections and the people we interact with online. This can help the way we react and respond to negative messages. While social media can sometimes be beneficial, it is important to be aware that social media is associated with several issues and potential damage, including stress, anxiety, loneliness, and depression. An opponent might point out that a study published in the Journal of Applied Developmental Psychology, Jan 2015, said college freshmen should use social networking sites to build networks of new friends, feel socially integrated at their new schools, and reduce the risk of dropping out. However, what this study failed to point out is that students who use social media had an average GPA of 3.06, while non-users had an average GPA of 3.82. Keep in mind, the Library of Congress has been archiving all public tweets from Twitter's March 2006 inception forward. Information about an affair posted on Facebook, for example, can be used against someone during divorce proceedings because the information once posted can never be completely deleted. So imagine wanting to become a public figure or a person with high authority in the future, but something you did in 8th grade gets brought back up, affects your future, the way people view you, and your opportunities. While I have been giving this speech, more than 28 new social media accounts have been made. I don't want to grow up in a generation where people have been blinded by the fact that they have been under prolonged exposure to negative platforms. The fact is that social media is globally used for more negative purposes than positive. It takes everyone to work for our future, but it starts with one person. All I want is to at least make an effort to bring positivity positivity to social media. If social media is going to be such a big part of our lives, we should make it a positive experience for everyone, especially the younger generations who are our future leaders. To quote Napoleon Hill, "If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way." Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Hernandez, an 8th grade student from Capital City Public Charter School. My topic is sexual assault, which is a sensitive topic, so just a warning. Imagine that you're on your way home from work. While riding the metro, you notice a man start harassing a woman on the train. Do you help her, or do you watch like the others? The story I told isn't a hypothetical one. Violence against women is a global problem, and the United Nations needs to fix this issue. They can fix it by having a global discussion to ensure women's rights are safe and known. Violence against women should be discussed more often because it's a problem that isn't taken seriously. For example, a New York Times article states that a woman was being raped on a train near Philadelphia. Everyone on board failed to intervene, and not a single person called the police. For over 40 minutes did this man harass the woman while bystanders watched. This was one of the many times when women's rights were violated. Violence against women isn't a local problem, but a global one. A viral video was taken in Visakhapatnam, India on November 14th, 2021, showing a woman getting raped on the sidewalk. A Tribune article states that we shouldn't just focus on the rape crimes in India because rape can happen everywhere. Instead, we should focus on how the bystanders react. Rape and sexual violence can happen to anyone worldwide, and the victim should always be helped. A reason why someone wouldn't act right away when coming across rape could be the shock. In a Philadelphia Inquirer article, Stoll Seymour said people in his region weren't so inhuman and callous that they would watch and videotape rape. However, both events were videotaped and by witnesses who chose to do absolutely nothing about the rapes. No one intervened, and not a single person reached out to the victims. Overall, violence against women is a global problem that constantly puts females at risk. The United Nations needs to fix this issue. A solution would be to have a worldwide discussion to ensure women's rights are safe and protected. Action has to take place so women can feel safe and around other people. So now I ask you, what would you have done if the victim was someone significant to you? Thank you for your time.
Slavery is not a horror confined to the past. It continues to exist throughout the world, even in developed countries. Across the world, slaves work and sweat and build and suffer. Hi, my name is Kennedy Hardy. I'm in the 8th grade, and I attend to Friendship Armstrong. Sex trafficking is a problem because men and women shouldn't have low self-esteem about going out and being safe outside. The federal government should increase funding to the President Interagency Task Force, PITF, because ever since COVID, the cases have been going up way more than usual. The state government should also make state laws consistent so traffickers can't take advantage of different state laws. Trafficking cases are rising during the pandemic. The PITF uses its funding to increase the capacity to respond to sex trafficking, safety planning, and developing interagency cooperation. Experts Cara Johnstone, the acting director of the Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons, say the PITF needs way more funding due to the pandemic. State governments should align the state laws for states that don't have the same sex trafficking laws. The U.S. Department of State estimates that 14,500 to 17,500 people are trafficked into the United States each year. The number of people being trafficked is important because the traffickers can take that since other states don't have the same state laws, they go to another state and traffic men and women, boys and girls, since it isn't illegal. Some people may say current state laws cover trafficking. There is no need to align the state law state by state. According to the National Conference of State Legislators, laws are different in some states, like Alaska. It is illegal to gain in any way from human trafficking. In other states like Vermont, unless you are actually owning or selling someone, you won't be charged with trafficking. Slavery is still happening, and people are working and building and sweating and suffering. So support organizations that address sex trafficking and vote for sex trafficking state laws. Do your part and end modern-day slavery.
How much money the D1 football team brings in? According to sportscasting.com, talking about bringing in $100 million this season. My name is Angela. I'm from Inspired Teaching, and my issue is paying college athletes. College athletes don't get paid at all while putting their body at risk. The NCAA needs to change the rules. I think this is important. It's because they are putting their body at risk with no payment. According to 247sports.com, Arkansas State defensive back Sammy Johnson had to get carried off the field with a stretcher. He was suffering a scary injury. He got hit really hard by an offensive player, and the NCAA wouldn't pay for his medical bills, so he had to pay for his own money. I think this is important because I once injured my ankle, and I might know how it feels for a grown man to get injured and not get payment for what he did. Some people might say that college athletes might be irresponsible with their payment, even if you think that college football players shouldn't get paid because they're putting their life on the line because it's their dream to inspire others. Also, take care of their family. They can't do that if they're not getting paid for their work. I agree that college players should get paid because they work a little harder than other American workers. College players are putting their life on the line to inspire people by working hard and showing improvement. According to BusinessInsider.com, college athletes train as many as 40 hours a week, which is like a regular job, but they don't get paid. Paying college athletes is a good idea because they put as much effort as other American workers. Paying college athletes would help begin creating a sense of financial awareness. College athletes should be paid because they are put in many hours of work. They put in their bodies at risk, and their schools make millions of dollars from their blood, sweat, and tears. So the NCAA should change the rules in the interest of fairness and professionalism. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Raise your hand if you've ever heard the statement, "You throw like a girl." If you didn't know, the aforementioned is an example of gender bias. Hello everyone, my name is Sharon Baltimore. I am an 8th grader who attends Friendship Below Peers, and my topic is gender bias. Gender bias is based on socially constructed expectations and roles. It is erroneous beliefs that have no factual evidence to support it. People need to acknowledge gender bias and social and cultural factors because it restrains our development as a culture and harms our people. To begin with, gender bias is displayed through differing salaries in the workplace. An article by Linda Lowen named "How Women Rank in Traditional Female Jobs" reported that 4.8% of women made an hourly rate at or below the federal minimum wage, which is around 1.9 million women altogether. Did you know that women in the U.S. are paid on average 76 cents to every man's dollar, which is reduced even further to 66 cents for Black women and 54 cents for Latinas? Secondly, gender bias restricts future potential of students and discourages females from taking courses such as math or engineering, which are supposedly men jobs. One might argue boys are being neglected in learning because they account for 70% of the D's and F's teachers distribute. However, the American Association of University Women published a report signifying that girls actually receive less attention from teachers, or the attention they do receive is much more negative than positive. In addition, Nancy C. Atwood's clinical study called "Gender Bias in Families and Its Clinical Implications for Women" shows that gender bias may be affiliated with depression in women because of participation in degradation in intimate relationships or doubt about capability and juxtaposition with males. Long story short, gender bias hinders our improvement and it continues to damage our society. The norms our society has concocted are fallacious and archaic, and they are harming everyone. Gender bias contributes to inequality in workplaces, neglect of students, and abuse of women. I want people to notify others and disclose why gender bias is wrong. If we can eradicate gender bias, we can have one less social issue and can grow together as a whole. But if we don't, our people, specifically our women and girls, will have to suffer such consequences. Wouldn't you want your wife or daughter to live equal to men? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Shayla, and I go to Inspired Teaching Demonstration School, and I'm in the 8th grade. The air is being polluted, and the government isn't doing anything about it. The world will continue to get hurt if we don't try to help it. It's sad to see an animal species die because they're going extinct due to climate change. To solve this problem, the government must ask people to do something environmentally safe or encourage more green behavior. If the government did change the oils, they would save lots of money. According to fossil fuel subsidies, the government spends $17 billion per year wasted on barrels of oils and gases used for cars. Over the next decade, it added an additional $6 billion, which rounds up to $23 billion wasted on cars a year. Some may say that climate change isn't that important, or that even it isn't real. However, according to National Geographic, since 1906, the global average surface temperatures had increased by more than 1.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Even more in sensitive polar regions. They go on to say that global warming, which is caused by climate change, is affecting the sea levels and causing them to rise. While climate change is still the greatest threat to human health, state estimates suggest that air pollution causes anywhere between 3.6 million and 9 million premature deaths a year. If the government encourages green behavior, like biking or taking public transportation, there would be less air pollution. If we don't encourage more green behavior, it could increase the deaths due to air pollution. You can have the government make more effective green laws. Thank you.
Test, test, test. I'm sorry. Test, test, test.
In 2013, Gabriel Fernandez, an 8-year-old boy living in Palmdale, California, was beaten, starved, forced to sleep in a closet, and tortured to death. Worse yet, these despicable acts were committed by his mother and stepfather. Good evening. My name is Angel Oshitalu. I'm in 8th grade, and I attend Capital City Public Charter School. A problem in our society is that police fail to act in domestic violence cases. Police leaders should be more aware of their community. One reason that I think that police leaders should pay close attention to their community is that some police fail to act quickly, and many people can die like this. According to the National Institutes of Health, 10 million people a year deal with domestic violence. Also, according to NIH, over 1,500 people died to domestic violence this year. This shows that domestic violence happens often. This also shows how anybody can get injured or even killed. The police don't do enough. Between 960,000 and 3 million incidents of domestic violence are reported each year, while many other incidents go unreported. According to the government, if it takes more than 10 days for an officer to get to the prosecutor, the likelihood for prosecution and conviction drops by 25%. If it takes more than 30 days, the likelihood decreases by 50%. According to a quote from The Guardian, over 10,000 women and children have been identified as being at a high risk of being murdered or seriously wounded by their current or past partners. According to a report from Daily Mail, several cops in West Midlands lacked empathy while dealing with situations, and some officers were overheard calling a victim a slag. One myth about domestic violence is that the victim can always walk away from the relationship. Actually, according to Psychology Today, people might stay because they think if they behave, the abuse will stop, because they had children with an abusive person, or because of financial problems. We should not blame the victim. A problem in our society is that police fail to act in domestic violence cases. Something should be done about it because people are dying and being abused physically and psychologically. If you don't act now, you might be next. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. We say that our children are getting the education that they need, but are they? Sure, we say that racism isn't in school anymore, but racism that's abundant in urban education is more sly than a fox. This racism is harder to spot than a cheetah that's lurking around the savannah in search of his prey. No, this racism is clandestine. Hello, my name is Aliyah Ibikunle. I'm an 8th grader at Friendship Low Piers, and I'm here to talk to you about clandestine racism in urban education. If we want our kids to transcend into success, they need the right education, the right resources. We need to erase covert racism in urban education and move forward as a society so that our children can be great. The impacts that clandestine racism has in urban education are lowered expectations, lack of rigor in curriculums, and fallacious assumptions about students' intelligence. We say that our children are the key to our future, but we have those issues. In order to diminish these issues, we can teach a culturally responsive curriculum and hire more teachers and curriculum specialists of color, particularly Black and brown individuals who are dedicated to addressing equity issues. Some might even say, but we already have enough Black teachers. Well, actually, we don't. According to a report by Utopia, only 7% of our teachers are African American. Teachers have to take a test called Praxis 1, and our Black and brown teachers are not passing. Ladies and gentlemen, how would you feel if your scholar was sent home for talking? Zero tolerance discipline, like obligatory suspensions or expulsions for minor issues, fuels the school to prison pipeline. These inequities compound over the years when Black and brown children are in school. Some are deceptive but pervasive cultural messaging that African American students are incapable of learning. Schools need to be more student-centered and attentive towards everyone because students need academic, social, and emotional support to learn and thrive. Some might argue that, although urban education teaching is different, they have the same resources as suburban schools. That is false. According to a study by EdBuild, public school students enrolled in urban districts receive an average around $2,100 less per pupil than their suburban counterparts, and $4,000 less than students who attend rural remote schools. Taking everything into account, covert racism needs to be omitted from urban education. It is essential that we reckon with our intricate past to build an education system reflective of the future we want for everyone, one where every child has scrupulous access to a high-quality education. Because although our students are 20% of our population, they're 100% of our future. Thank you.
Did you know that the CDC estimated that 732,000 American children were saved from death between 1994 and 2014 due to vaccination? Hello, my name is Antonia Slater. I go to 8th grade at Capital City. There have been many times where I've come into contact with people that had COVID, but I have never gotten it due to the precautions I have taken, including vaccination. All around the world, people have been killed by and greatly affected by COVID-19, but we can prevent this with the help of vaccines. Vaccines are a great way to stop the spread. In order to do this, more people in places of power should put up vaccine mandates. So many people lost their lives, and the amount is only decreasing now that vaccination is around. In an article by Marissa Delata from Forbes, the U.S. surpassed 700,000 COVID-19 deaths, more than any other country, and 25,000 more than were killed in the Spanish flu of 1918, making COVID-19 the deadliest pandemic in American history. As you can see, COVID is an extremely deadly virus, which is why we need people to get vaccinated to prevent so much death from happening. Ever since vaccination became available, the number of cases has gone way down. According to Marissa Paleto from Forbes, the number of patients hospitalized with COVID-19 dropped to a 7-day average of 66,000 in the week of October 3rd from 76,000 in the week of September 26, according to the CDC, while the share of Americans who have received at least one shot of a coronavirus vaccine has risen to 65%, driven partly by government and corporate mandates. This shows how vaccines have lowered the rate of cases. Because more Americans got vaccinated, the amount of hospitalized cases went down. It also shows why we need mandates, because the mandates help that to happen. Many people believe vaccines are dangerous, especially to children, and may have horrible side effects or contain harmful ingredients. However, vaccines have been proven time and time again to be safe and effective. Any negative effects are extremely rare and barely ever happen. Procon.org states, most childhood vaccines are 90 to 99% effective in preventing disease. And in another section of the article, it says, children are exposed to more bacteria, viruses, toxins, and other harmful substances in 1 day of normal activity than are in vaccines. This shows how vaccines aren't only effective even with children, but they're not harmful because the ingredients in vaccines aren't as bad as things kids get exposed to on the daily. If mandates aren't put in place, then less people will be protected against the virus, which will result in more and more people getting sick and more deaths. This is why these mandates are so important, because we can protect ourselves and end the pandemic faster. You can even do your part by going out and getting vaccinated today.
In this world, women go through a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, how many people have to be hurt? People fear having their daughter or any female loved one go out by. In this world, women go through a lot, especially when it comes to sexual assault and harassment. People fear having their daughter or any female loved one go out by themselves because of what's going on in this world when it comes to women. They also go through other stuff like being stereotyped. Women are stereotyped a lot, so then people believe they can't do certain activities. Women are stereotyped because of women think and women think of them as. A woman named Chinchilla, who is the president of Costa Rica, believes most persuasive stereotype is that people are weak, a perception that may stem from a woman's greater desire to build a consensus. This shows gender stereotypes even affect the confidence of a powerful woman. Personally, I don't have a problem with gender or having a woman leader, but in 2021, there's only been 26. This shows women were not chosen to be leaders across the world. Sexual assault and harassment has been a long major issue for women across the world. In October 2017, a group of women took to social media to share their sexual harassment stories, launching the Me Too movement, which went viral and sparked national and worldwide conversation. In 2014, the SSH2 commissioned a poll of 2,000 people in the United States. According to the survey, 65% of all women have been harassed on the street. Some people may hear about how women are harassed or sexually assaulted, but their main question is, why didn't they fight back? When people don't know is fighting back can make their decision worse for the victim. Catholic Saint Maria Goretti declared she'd rather die than submit to her rapist and was stabbed 14 times. The ancient Greeks and Romans split amidst a woman who begged the gods to be turned into birds or trees rather than remain a damaged woman after an assault. Legends of brave women who fought their attackers died from their injuries. Fighting back during assault can result in many major injuries such as death and more. My problem is that women's safety and they're not getting treated, and how they're not getting treated because of their gender. If men take advantage of this treatment and it's getting out of hand, it's causing life problems and it's not getting taken seriously enough. It's causing mental and physical problems for women. Women who are supposed to be virgins until marriage can't have that with them because of a sexual assault. Assault on women not only affects them but has an impact on their family and loved ones. If there's no solution to this problem, it can have an impact on many generations of girls. This problem can put people's lives in danger because if the victim does survive the assault, they may do damage to themselves because of how they feel after what happened. This issue could overall cause really bad damage for life problems in girls and women and their families. My name is Zaire Mack. I go to Inspire Teaching Demonstration. I'm in the 8th grade.
Good afternoon. My name is Jasmine Rodriguez. I am a student at Capital City PCS, and my topic is domestic violence. It was a nice night, very dark outside, and a very beautiful sky filled with stars. But inside the walls of one house, things were as nice as they seemed. Slap, every second, slap was heard. And she was already used to this type of behavior. Domestic violence is a problem, and the number of cases are increasing. People should look for unnatural behavior from their friends and family, and look for weird marks or bruises anywhere unnatural? As we all know, domestic violence has always been a problem, but ever since the pandemic, the number of cases have increased. According to a Public Health Insider article supporting survivors of domestic violence during COVID-19, the pandemic has just made cases worse. They explained that during the pandemic, many victims could not speak up to people to help them. They also include that during the pandemic, the highest calls for domestic violence help has happened during quarantine. If people could look for unnatural behavior in their friends and family, then they could help them by reporting the case to the police. The rise in domestic violence has highlighted the fact it can affect anybody. According to an article from American Progress called Frequently Asked Questions About Domestic Violence and Firearms, domestic violence affects many people no matter who or what they identify as. Domestic violence affects people of all socioeconomic classes, ages, genders, races, and ethnicities. This shows that people should always be careful who they are with because anyone is vulnerable to domestic violence. Others may say domestic violence cases do not get reported because the family member or victims do not think it's really bad enough to report, but that is not the case. According to an article by Choma called Reasons Why People Don't Report Abuse, people are in shock and fear and have self-doubt. Say, start thinking about the victim and if they could have helped any time sooner. The author states, when people suspect someone they know is being abused, they are often too shocked to take it in at first. This proves that many people are surprised and cannot process it all in the beginning. To conclude, domestic violence cases have increased dramatically in the past 2 years. Anybody can be a victim of domestic violence as well. Someone you know may be a victim right now. Yes, many cases go unseen, but it is only because of fear and shock. For many victims, it is hard for them to speak up about their experiences because they are scared that their abuser may do something to completely ruin their lives. Many abusers are overprotective of their victims, which is why it is so important to look around you and know the warning signs of abuse. If you suspect someone you know is being abused, you can report it to the police, call a domestic hotline at 1-844-4-HELP-DC, or just simply be there to support the victim.
Imagine, on Friday the 13th, you just found out that your 2-day weekend has been extended to 3 days. Now, imagine if you watched as those 3 days have been extended to 585 days. Crazy, right? Now, imagine if I told you you've been through this before. Hi, I'm Heaven Perry from Armstrong, and the experience that I just described to you was quarantine. You know it, you hate it, or maybe you don't. But what's undeniable is the fact that the many negative drawbacks that this has had on teens' mental and physical health. And to recognize those said drawbacks, I think we should make a website where schools can recommend, where teens can not only express their feelings, but also learn about COVID guidelines and why they are important to follow. There are many reasons a website can severely help. Noting the fact that this is a very influential generation, when big shot celebrities such as Kim K or Charli D'Amelio violate the very concise guidelines like they've had done before, it shows to their very young, impressionable fans that it's okay to put others at risk for your own enjoyment. So making a website can cut down those repercussions by counteracting the idea that being inconsiderate is okay for your own convenience. Another reason a website like this can help out the ones that don't have anyone to talk to at home. With a drastic increase of percentage happiness with children with 2-parent homes rather than 1 or no parents, that with somewhat of a safe haven to report to, it can cut down depression in a time like this, eliminating the feelings of dissatisfaction with life. Now some may say, oh, well teens did well in quarantine with more sleep, more family time, and less social media. But what they fail to realize is that more family time isn't always a good thing for others. With family time increasing, so are abuse rates, with them being at an all-time high since 2018. Even with the promise of more sleep, studies show that the main cause of insomnia is stress. And with the whole world on shutdown, drug abuse, suicide rates, and stress rates are bound to increase, along with sleep loss. In conclusion, there's not just one quarantine experience. And to account for the people who fell on the unlucky side of things, a website showing them their opinion and well-being is cared about can improve mental health globally. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, how many people have to be hurt, harmed? Ladies and gentlemen, how many people have to be hurt, harmed, or killed for you to understand that police brutality is out of control? For example, look at George Floyd. He didn't have to be killed, but the officer took his life just because he thought it was a threat. This is important because people are losing loved ones from police using unnecessary force to handle issues.
I used George Floyd as an example because George Floyd lost his life recently to police brutality. What I believe will fix the problem of police brutality is to protest against the federal government to make police have more and better training. One reason I think we should protest to the federal government is to make sure people that are and want to be police have more and better training on the way they react when they come in contact with their community. It would teach them what to do when they feel threatened. For instance, in the case of Trayvon Martin, he was walking home from the store. He did not make it home, all because George Zimmerman felt threatened or scared, so he pulled the trigger. That shows that he needed more training even as a security guard, because Trayvon Martin did not have any type of weapon on him. In this article by WUSA 9, titled, "What is Able Training?" a look at the new program mandated for police, it states, in training, officers learn techniques to intervene with fellow officers, subordinates, or superior officers. This tells us that training teaches them techniques, but they just don't use the good training because most officers do not intervene when they see things happening. The use of excessive force by police against unarmed Black Americans can be justified, should be treated as a public health issue. According to the Washington Post, 915 people have been shot and killed by the police in the past year. Police violence is the leading cause of Black men deaths because 1 of 1,000 men can expect to be killed by police. Some people may say police need to protect themselves from harm because sometimes suspects and bystanders can be aggressive, but police need to be trained in more non-lethal measures so people don't die unnecessarily. Another thing that makes me think that they need more training is because they need their emotional and the physiological reaction as the people they come in contact with. The article, Why People Training Need to Evolve and How, by crimereport.org. Police demandments will continue to rely militarized training model that is misforced, too short, and use infection as teaching methods. Police need training to be efficient in order to change the better. The problem is that police are killing people mostly unarmed, and I say that this is the reason for police to have more and better training. The reason that I've mentioned that to show their real facts about the police unarmed and getting hurt, harmed and killed by police. What might help to stop police from using unnecessary violence and killing is protest against the federal government until they get it and understand that police need better training.
Good evening. When you look at the news or on social media, do you ever see reports of women or young ladies being sexually harassed, raped, or kidnapped? Well, I've been a witness to harassment on social media, and it's made me feel awful and disgusted. It's something you shouldn't joke about. I feel worse knowing that it may happen to me, but I try to make sure that I'm safe, and I hope those who have fallen victim get the help they need. I'm Isabella Gonzalez Maya. I go to Howard University Middle School PCS, and my issue is sexism. I want to make sure this happens less often. Women are said to not be believed when they speak out against abuse. For instance, the famous singer Gloria Treves has dealt with the same issue. She had a #1 hit, Date psiquiatra, ya no me diga tonterías. That means, stop telling me nonsense, saying that the parents didn't believe in Gloria when she was sexually abused. She was physically, emotionally, and mentally abused both at work and at home. Despite her defeats and afflictions, she has been able to overcome and get ahead by telling her truth. We can solve this issue by listening, believing in them, and making sure they get the help they need. An opponent would say something like, it's not the man's fault, but the woman's fault. A 2017 Chicago Tribune article argues that this only shifts the blame and makes it hard for the man or the woman to speak up. Sexual assault and harassment have a direct impact on the majority of women.
The National Sexual Violence Research Center reports 81% of women have been harassed or raped. They go on to say of that 81%, 1 in 3 are the ages between 11 and 17. These women need justice, proper resources, and comfort in order to heal from this trauma. Sexism needs to be stopped because lots of women and young ladies are being sexually harassed and or raped. Victims should receive help mentally and emotionally from the community and people close to them. They shouldn't be blamed for something they didn't want to happen. If you ever see or hear a woman being harassed, step in to report it, support it, listen, and believe in what they have said. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yami Latino Escobar, and I attend Capital City PCS. The issue I'll be addressing today is dress code. According to Procon.org, Americans spend around $1 billion on uniforms every year. That's a lot of money for something you won't even fit in next year. Dress codes should be changed for the way they are discriminatory against women and prevent expression. In order to get this done, people who have an issue with the dress code should have an input in the rules in order to make it fair for everyone. For example, according to Diversity, a 2018 study of Washington, D.C. schools by the National Women's Law Center found that African American girls are especially harmed by dress and grooming codes. When enforcing these codes and tell students out of class or even sending them home, those girls then fall behind in school simply because of the clothes they wear or the style of their hair and makeup. As you can see, dress codes not only discriminate against women in general, but specifically impact African American girls the most. Another example is shown in this bizarre story of a breast cancer awareness demonstration in a school. According to Procon.org, in one school located in Prince George's County, Maryland, 75 girls were suspended for wearing pink skirts, showing their support towards breast cancer awareness. One would think that a school would want its students to be passionate and active about such an issue like breast cancer. Instead, this school used this opportunity to punish girls. Some would argue that dress codes are in place to keep order and to keep naked people from running around. While I do somewhat agree with this, I don't think it's right for it to be mostly directed towards women. According to futureofworking.com, dress codes in schools tend to weaken diversity, have no effect on students' attendance or preparedness, and have even been connected to increased assaults in some of the more violent schools. One might wonder if such policies do more harm than good. Dress codes should be changed for the way they prevent expression and for the way they influence discrimination. 75 girls being suspended for showing support to an issue like breast cancer is bizarre. $1 billion being spent on uniforms every year nationwide is a large amount of money. People who have an issue with the dress code should have an input in the rules. If the solution isn't put into action soon, girls will keep getting dress coded unfairly and for discriminatory reasons. Putting someone who is affected or has an issue with the dress code would be so life-changing for girls and women all over the world. They would feel so much more confident in what they are wearing without feeling the need to hide or to feel ashamed for something they might not be able to change. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For all, huh? We have things like qualified immunity that stops our nation from being equal. It protects police officers from being held accountable. If we ban qualified immunity, everyone will be treated equally in the court of law, and victims of police brutality will get the justice they surely deserve. Good afternoon. I'm Amari Norris, 8th grader from Friendship Low Pierce, and today I'll be presenting why qualified immunity needs to be banned. If you are unaware, qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that protects police officers from lawsuits and charges. Immunity has a sour history as a defense for force. The Michigan Journal of Affairs states that immunity has been granted over a plethora of cases, and 89% of the time, the victims are innocent. Although immunity is a horrible doctrine, not everyone agrees. One might argue that banning qualified immunity will stop civilians from wanting to become police officers because of the fear of lawsuits. Although they do, it has nothing to do with qualified immunity. There are countless of jobs that come with the risk of lawsuits, like medical workers, engineers, chefs, teachers, etc. But this does not stop them from pursuing their jobs. Furthermore, if you do your job correctly, you have nothing to fear. Let's look at the Fraser v. Evans case. Fraser was recording police brutality and was threatened and encircled by 5 police officers who demanded to see the footage without a warrant. This is why qualified immunity needs to be banned. All 5 of those police officers should be in jail with the charges of assault or invasion of privacy. But because immunity stands, police officers will continue to be held unaccountable for their actions, and victims will still not get the justice they deserve. In conclusion, qualified immunity needs to be banned. It has been used to protect police officers who overuse their power and allows them to think they are paramount to civilians. If you want to be equal in the court of law, file a complaint against qualified immunity. Because when you get assaulted by an officer and press charges, they'll invoke your claim with immunity and go home to their lives while you suffer from assault. Imagine you were one of those countless victims who didn't get justice. How would you feel? Would you want qualified immunity to be banned? Thank you.
Let's give it up for all of our G8 students. Now, we know that you have a lot of questions for these students. So we want to, at this time, I'm just trying to, okay, yeah, 10? Is that what I'm getting, Eric? 15. All right, cool. All right, so with that said, we know that you have a lot of questions for our students, so we're going to allow them to exit first. They're going to go up the stairs, and you're going to meet them out by their boards and ask them questions, if you will, about their topics, why they chose them, things of that nature. We have some lovely boards presented that speak on their issues, and they will be arrayed around those. So we're going to have a little 15-minute transition. We need you back in 15 minutes so we can find out who won this thing, all right? But now that our students are making their ways up the steps, if you go upstairs and to the left, then you will find them arrayed by their presentation boards, and go ahead and grill them because they are ready, as you can see. We need you back in 15 minutes for our closing remarks and our category winners. Go forth.
Thank you. I think the worst time to ever speak is after an amazing group of students. But I don't have a choice here tonight. I want to thank everyone for sticking around. I want to thank Drew for his amazing work as our MC, the voice, the heart, the brain of One World, with an amazing team that we have. But when I was listening to the students, not only was I so inspired like everyone else, but I realized what I had planned to talk about in these few minutes is actually the last thing I should be talking about. I planned, before listening tonight, I planned to come up here and to talk a little bit about an evaluation report we got on Tuesday that highlighted in a lot of detail that I wanted to explain and break down how 3/4 of our students improved their writing from pre to post assessments at almost equivalent to a half letter grade. And I want to explain all that because this data is important. This data is what tells a story to new school partners as why they initially partner with us, and to our funders and our stakeholders as to why they invest in us. And I realize that just misses the mark. It misses the moment. It misses the journey. It misses a big thumping heartbeat in the room from these first couple of rows. And I realize actually that impact about numbers means nothing right now, but what means everything is your journey. And I remember you arriving several months ago, reluctant, nervous, not confident in your skills as a researcher or writer, just about all of you having never publicly spoken before, especially in a large group like this. All right? I remember that conversation. And here we are a few months later, and you've celebrating having published amazing essays that you're proud of, and having delivered exceptional speeches and presentations like you have. That's amazing. But what's more important is not only what you've done, it's how you feel. It's actually always going to be about how you feel. Actually, that's not true. It's going to be a lot about how you do. But I see a lot of pride and a lot of confidence behind those masks. And while you took a lot of time to learn from us this year, as an organization, we spent a lot of time learning from you. Okay, we learned from reading your writing, listening to you, talking with your teachers, talking with your families. And what we learned is that as an organization, that we have to do a lot more. We have to do a lot more. We have to work harder and longer hours and create more programming so we can create more opportunities like this for students. And over the course of this program, as learning from you, we've made some decisions as to where we're going as an organization, that we're taking this G8 Academy. And next year, it will be the One World Middle School Academy to prepare 7th and 8th graders for the transition to writing in high school. And then in another, yeah, that's exciting. And then in our other semester, we're going to be launching a One World High School Academy so we can prepare 10th and 11th graders for the transition to writing in college. So I want to thank you for what you taught us as a program, okay? That means a lot. And on this topic of gratitude, I want to thank some different groups of people that are here tonight. First and foremost, this amazing team, and I'll get to mention some of them in just a moment. The One World Academy is not a program just in a box. Yes, there's structure, and we meet for 2 hours a session twice a week for several months. But behind that, our amazing staff, you met Lyric, Jesse, Drew, Megan, Desiree, Ben, Paula. The list goes on and on. I think there's people I'm even overlooking right now. Are hundreds of hours of planning, training, communication, curriculum development to make this program happen. So I want to give our team a big One World round of applause, please. Behind the scenes, we're really fortunate to have partners who invest in our programs. You can probably see our partners behind us. Many of them are here in the room tonight, but let's please give a round of applause for their support. And to our families, I'm going to talk to our students for a moment. Your parents, grandparents, siblings, family members by other names and titles. Well, I'm going to get to teachers in a moment. But actually, some of your family members are teachers. That's true. What will feed their soul more than what they've already seen tonight is actually just hearing your gratitude and thanking them for their support, thanking them for their encouragement, their transportation. So let's all thank our family members, please. And our teachers, someone mentioned this a moment ago. We actually rely on teachers teachers are the bridge from the classroom to the One World Academy, asking our teachers who are high potential students who need a boost. That's what we say. We say, who are high potential students who need a boost? So knowing that's how your teachers think about you, and I hope that this program was part of that boost, but I don't think that boost is over. I think that we're going to continue boosting ourselves forward for a long time. So before I turn the program back over to Drew and Megan, I want to give a really big round of applause for our students. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Fred.
Yes. I'd now like to bring up Megan, who has been so instrumental into everything that One World has done. And I'm just very glad to be working with her and grateful for the opportunity and experience. And with that, remember, students, after we announce the winners, we want to bring everyone up here, all the students, so that we can have a group picture. All right? With that said, we are first announcing the winners of the essay competition. Our fourth place winner for essays with a prize of $200 is Isabella Gonzalez Amaya. Our third place essay winner with a prize of $300 is from Inspired Teaching, Kayan Jackson. Kayan was one of our young men in the video, so not present, but I suppose he has a prize waiting for him. Our second place essay winner with a prize of $400. Please give it up for Capital City's own Kelly Hernandez. And our first place essay winner with a prize of $500 from Friendship Blow Pierce, Amari Norris. We appreciate your enthusiasm, and we are sure they do too. Now for our stage presentation winners. For fourth place winner for stage presentation with a prize of $200 from Capital City, Yamilet Tino Escobar. Our third place stage presentation winner with a prize of $300 from Howard Felicia Ogundimu. Congratulations. Our second place stage presentation winner with a prize of $400 from Friendship Blow Pierce, Sharon Baltimore. And our first place stage presentation winner with a $500 prize from Friendship Blow Pierce, Aaliyah Ibikunle. Give it up for all of our One World students. I need all of our One World family to come up here right now. All of our students, we would like you to come to the front at this time. And with that said, we thank you, all of our One World community, for your participation, your enthusiasm, and your support. We could not do this without you, and we thank you. Great work, y'all.
Hey. Oh, never mind.
Thank you all so much. This closes the formal presentation, but I know that some of you are waiting to collect and congratulate your winners. So just letting you know that there's nothing else to hear, but just a lot more to see.
Sorry,